believe he's out there. I believe he'll be found. And whoever's got him, let him go and let him come home, please.
A desperate plea from Jonathan Foster's grandmother, Mary Gifford. She says even though a child's body has been found, her family is holding out hope that Jonathan is still alive.
Little fella, I love you. I love you, baby. Don't give up. We're looking for you.
Everyone's still looking for Jonathan, his family, Texas EquiSearch, and the police. Investigators spent the afternoon with Jonathan's mom, Angela Davis, and his stepdad, David Davis. Both were put in the back of separate police cars and driven away. Police also towed the stepfather's car from his Northwest Houston neighborhood. And tonight they stress that
he's just so cute. I keep looking at him. I'm Jean Casares in for Nancy Grace tonight from In Session. I want to go out to the callers. Brenda in Ohio. Hi, Brenda.
Hi, Jean. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for calling.
You know, this makes me literally sick. My son, Gene, has ADHD. He also has ADD. He's been sexually molested by his own father. And he has blonde hair, blue eyes, by the way. But anyway, my question is, Gene, how long did that biological mother know the stepfather?
Good question, Joe Gomez, reporter KTRH News Radio. Do we know how long the mother and stepfather had been together?
No, we still don't. Those details aren't being released yet. They weren't living together, we know that much. We also know that Jonathan Foster was last seen by his stepfather after he was left alone to play video games. And after he was left alone was when he was abducted, Gene.
How long had he been in the Houston area with his mother?
Presumably, as far as we understand, he was mostly raised here in the Houston area. Also wanted to point out one interesting note as to when Jonathan vanished and when his mother reported him missing on Christmas Eve. You know, when Jonathan vanished in the afternoon, between that time and the time that she reported him missing at about 9 o'clock at night, we received some very dreadful, tumultuous storms. I mean, there was minor flooding going on in the streets of Houston. If she knew that her little baby was gone while there was flooding going on in the streets, why wouldn't she report him missing before, Gene?
Without a coat. Without a coat on, Joe Gomez. I want to go to Howard Oliver, former deputy medical examiner out of Los Angeles. Some fast questions. Can you tell during an autopsy of a burned body like this if there has been sexual assault?
No, the external genitalia would be totally burned away. You might find inside, if it were a female, you'd find the uterus and the ovaries, but anything leading to the external genitalia would be gone. And the soft tissue would be burned away. The skin and the subcutaneous tissue where you might normally see bruising and tearing would be burned away.
Can you tell the time of death?
No.
It would be, normally, had this body not been burned, it would be rarely, it would be successful in a death up to about 4 days. With body temperature, you can get a reliable measurement up to 24 hours. There are biochemical changes that take place that are relatively accurate up to about 4 days. But this body has been burned, so you would not be able to determine cause of death, or the time of death of this body.
Ray Giudice, defense attorney out of Atlanta. Everything we see with this mother, she is distraught. She's crying every time that we see her. But there are so many inconsistencies, Ray Giudice. It's all over the place. Does she need to get an attorney? Should she do that at this point?
Let me point out something that I see that concerns me. That car and that computer were towed away and removed by one of two ways, either with the parents' permission, which speaks well to their cooperation, or without their permission. That means law enforcement went in front of a judge with probable cause and got a search warrant. And you could read into that what you want to, but it's not a good thing.
No, it's a good question, Joe Gomez. Do we know if a search warrant was gotten by a judge and executed on that apartment?
We don't know if well, as far as we understand, both parents are fully cooperating with the police. We don't have any information right now that leads us to believe there was a search warrant that was issued, but both parents are being heavily questioned by police. I mean, as we mentioned, the stepfather's car has been towed away. The stepfather and the mother both being separately questioned. Questioning has been intensified recently, especially after this burned body has been found, this burned child's body found in a ditch just today. I mean, they're really, it seems, as I mentioned before, honing in on this family as this case develops, Gene.
Of course, which makes common sense. Doug Burns, defense attorney out of New York, they are being questioned separately, which is obviously a very smart move, but the inconsistencies that are coming from the family, should they get attorneys?
Oh, I think they should. I mean, first of all, even if they had nothing to hide, I mean, it's advisable to have counsel there just to make sure that everything's followed correctly. I mean, I think the window to this case, the real key to it, is obviously the detailed interviews of the people involved. Sadly, as has been said all night long, statistics unfortunately bear out that it's the family members, unfortunately, who are involved most of the time. Ray also makes a very good point, which I noted, which is this taking the computer out of their house. If that's with their consent, not to be a broken record, then they are cooperating.
Right, and that computer was to see if there could be any online predators that had contacted this young boy. And may we tell you, the police are looking at sexual offenders in the area and talking with them also. To Nancy in California. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, I just wondered, can they tell from this charred little body if it had an overbite?
Oh, that's a very good question. To Dr. Howard Oliver, former deputy medical examiner from Los Angeles. This little boy, Stephen Foster, I want to say has an overbite. Can you tell in a burned body through the jaw if there is an overbite?
Most likely you won't be able to determine that because the tissues would contract with the heat. They would pull the jawbone back naturally. So you wouldn't be able to tell something like that.
All right, Bill Majeski, former NYPD detective. When someone burns a body like this, that we have learned this hour takes a lot of work.
Yes, it does.
The motive is to hide evidence. The motive is to never be found out, right?
Correct. So if this child were abused, physically abused, and there were bruises all over their body, clearly the best way to get rid of those or that evidence would be to burn the body. Sexual assault also would be covered up with burning the body. So, yeah, it's
Furious call.